Welcome to Two Guys in a Podcast. I'm Tom Waite.
And I'm Mike Cardinale. And on today's show, we're going to summarize our last 7 shows.
Kind of a reset of where we've been and what we've talked about so far.
So let's get after it.
And sit down.
So if you recall from our first show, we did ego and trust. And as the weeks have progressed by, I can tell you, Tom, that it has just become more and more evident that trust is just a foundational principle of being able to lead. People don't follow unless they trust the leader, and the leader doesn't want to lead unless they trust the people that they're around. So for me, it's just been a huge thing. Wrapping up my master's program, I've been doing a project for the last 7 weeks. That's due next week, by the way. And then, it's just been one of those things where it's just become clearly evident that without trust, you have nothing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It is a foundational principle of leadership, and it's constant, or it's constantly in motion, if you will. It's a moving target. It shouldn't be, but sometimes it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So when you do have good trust with people, things go a lot smoother. Like, you can come in, you can get your work done, the team can get the work done, you can go home, and it just runs a lot smoother. The absence of trust can cause chaos, right? And then it can also cause emotional intelligence to go out the window, teamwork to go out the window, all the other principles we talked about. So we hit on ego and trust in that first show. Without trust, emotions get out of control. Now the egos come into play. All these things kind of chain reaction on each other. They kind of all daisy chain to each other. But I agree 100%. Trust is absolutely a foundational principle.
Yeah, it just seems like if you don't have even just a small little bit of trust, you're just not going to get anywhere.
Well, and that's all you really need too, right? So you don't have to have the same level of trust with everyone that, say, you have with, your mom or something. You know what I mean? You don't have to have that such endeared trust at work, for example. But you got to have some trust. You got to be able to trust the people that you're supervising. You got to have trust in leadership. They have to have trust in you. Your workers have to have trust in you. It's kind of a up and down the chain kind of situation with trust. But again, it can be different with different people, different levels. You could have a group over here in one line at work and a group over here in another line. And that you mentioned I think in that first show, you mentioned being able to identify and change your styles or your communication styles,
right,
and your approach with different people. Same thing can be said with trust. But ultimately, it comes down to, holding yourself accountable and holding them accountable, and them doing it likewise to you. And that's really what builds the trust. If you violate someone's trust or they violate yours, everything that you've built up over time can go away
real quick.
Quickly, immediately. That's why it is so important. You can have clashes of ego, you can have clashes of emotional control, and you can have arguments or whatever. But if you lose that trust, you're starting over.
Yeah, that's a hard thing it's a hard thing to rebuild. It is something that can be done.
Yeah.
That Stephen Covey book, The Speed of Trust. If you haven't read it yet, read it. It's a good read. It's a long book, but it talks about how you can rebuild it. But you have to. The thing about trust is you have to build trust in yourself first, right?
Yeah.
So am I going to do the right things? Am I going to say the right things? And then you just kind of build the trust that you have and confidence you have in yourself to be able to help and execute leadership effectively when you're trying to work with people. So it was a good topic for our first week, for our first show.
I think out of the gate it was important to talk about that ego and the trust factors, because ego can get in the way of trust. Yep. And you said something there too, confidence, right? So when you have confidence in yourself and your abilities, and you build a toolbox with some of these traits we've talked about, because no one's an expert. You have to keep working at it and keep developing it.
Absolutely.
I think that sets you up really good. So obviously the ego and the trust from week one, critical, right? Put your ego aside. Everyone has a little bit of ego, some more than others. You got to have a little bit of ego, and it kind of comes off as confidence. But the trust factor is hands down. That's why we talked about it first, is the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Week 2 saw teamwork and time management. Again, two really good skills. Those go hand in hand with trust, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they all kind of tie back to that. So good, solid teamwork, no matter what kind of team you're on, a sports team, a work team. You know, you could be working on a line, you could be working on a fire truck, you could be working, you could be working as an electrician in a big company or something, but you're going to have a team, and you're going to be able to have, the core of getting things done as a group. There's nothing more satisfying.
Oh, no, definitely. Individual efforts are okay, but when you get that well-oiled machine thing going, it's pretty unstoppable.
Yeah.
But so teamwork's an important thing, and time management. That's been a tough one for me for the last couple of weeks. I don't know about you.
Last couple of weeks has been challenging, I think, for both of us.
I mean, as you can see, we're in the camper again. I'm on a 4-day camping trip, and Tom was nice enough to come up to Grand Haven. If you're in the local area, Grand Haven's a great spot. You should check it out. Yeah. But I'm in a pretty new campsite, but we're in the camper because I'm trying to manage my time, right? So you got to have some downtime and some fun. It's been a tough week at work, and then the finishing up the master's program, I'm be excited to be done. But again, it's managing the time, right? It's 4 days off of work. What am I going to do with that? Am I going to do
absolutely.
housework? Am I going to do
well,
schoolwork?
You just bought a new camper, right? So you got to take advantage of it.
So it's important to take some downtime too,
Yeah, and so if you look back to last week's show, you'd been up for over 24 hours when you came,
when we did that show.
So again, it's time management. We made a commitment, which is another trait we talked about. We made to pump these shows out. We've both made sacrifices for the show. We're going to continue to do that. Mike was up, like I said, over 24 hours for the last show. Came to my house, which is a jaunt for him. So he's camping. I have no power at home anyway because of the big storms that came through. So why not come and hang out at the camper? So it's working out. We're definitely learning as we go about doing this. But I think hopefully you guys are all gaining something from it, and I know we are. We're learning all the time.
And to talk about teamwork, talking about teamwork, I was pretty tired that last week, but talking with him and then talking with you, and then how everything started to click with that show, I wasn't tired at all until I got home.
Yeah.
That was a fun
to me
show. that was good teamwork between the three of us. I'd never met him before. I don't know how long you've met him. Super guy. If you haven't checked him out, if you haven't saw last week's show, go check it out. Check out Thomas. He's a great guy. He's doing some really good stuff. So
Matthew.
Damn it! I said Thomas again. Matthew.
Yeah, that's right. So my neighbor calls me Mike, and he's calling Matt Thomas. So we're tired, good. And it's been, like we said, it's been a long week.
It's been a long week.
So it is show number 7. It's a long show, but it's a great interview with Matthew McDade, Marine Scout sniper in Iraq, Purple Heart recipient, founder of Section 1776. Great. He's just a great guy. He does a lot of things. He's actually deployed right now around the state of Michigan with Team Rubicon, trying to help people that are in need. And that's what he does. He continues to find ways to serve. So it's a great interview. For our first interview, I think we hit a home run.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, because it just popped in my head, my Uncle Johnny, the one that wrote the book, 65 Years of Secrecy, actually, my sister texted me and said he was looking for my phone number. So I don't know if maybe he watched the show or heard about the show or whatever.
Right.
But we were promoting that book. It's on Amazon or
it was
Amazon,
in the link. We linked it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just interesting. I want to say he's 97 now.
Yeah.
I think he's 97. Anyway, yeah, check out the book. It's a quick read. I think it's $9 or $10 or whatever. But
you know, I actually read
interesting
some
book.
reviews on Amazon on it, and almost every review said it's a quick read.
Yeah, it's a quick
Yeah.
read.
Yeah, so-
Really interesting stuff, though.
Yeah, well, and you know, history is history, and it's true. It's true. It's not like fiction. It's not a fiction book. It's you know, I think it's your great uncle,
Yep.
but it's what he lived. And when talking with Matthew last week, that's what he lived. It's what he does every day. So when we talk about what we do every day, so that's why we kind of started this whole podcast with the leadership topic. So the ego, the trust, the teamwork, the time management, the, you know, getting into commitment, accountability, emotional intelligence, communication. They're all critical steps to master. Again, you don't have to master them, but continually working on them, continually sharpening that saw, the toolbox. It's going to help you in your career as you advance, or it's just going to help you as a human, right? To be able to connect to people. You know, Matthew brought up, I'm not sure it was in the video or not. It might have been while we weren't filming, but he talked about, you know, just driving down the road and giving the 2-finger salute off the steering wheel to somebody coming by. And that's just the kind of guy he is, you know. Total stranger, but he's going to acknowledge a total stranger and say hi, you know. Dale Carnegie teaches the greatest thing that someone can hear is their own name.
Yep.
Right? So it's just connection. It's just connecting with people, whether you're at work and you're a leader and you have to supervise and you have to connect with people and you have to inspire them to do the job, or you're sitting around a campfire and you just want to communicate. I just recently had I call him a brother, great friend of mine, foreign exchange student when I was in high school. He just came over with his family from Sweden for 10 days. And it was like the day he left, you know, we got along like the day he left.
Right.
And I think in the military, like I'll run into guys from that I was in the military with, and it'll be the same thing. We hadn't seen each other in 25 years, but we pick up exactly. It was like we're right there again. So
Yeah,
it's all about building that bond, whether again with its coworkers, its family, its friends, whatever it might be.
Well, you know, and we one of our shows, I can't remember, it was communication. I don't remember what the topic with communication was. But, you know, I ran into a coworker last night, and just being able to talk a little bit more freely and not in a work environment, it's important stuff. You know, a lot of companies, they do the team building stuff off-site and whatever. And a lot of people say, well, why are you doing an off-site team building thing? But, you know, get outside of the work area.
It takes some of that anxiety away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
Because you ran into him outside.
Yeah, we're just at a restaurant, and you know, it was just funny. He walked in, and I said, "Hey, you know, you don't really in day-to-day stuff. I don't really run into coworkers because I work an hour away. So to run into somebody that I work with was kind of interesting.
Right.
But to be able
and out
to,
here of all places.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a long way from work.
yeah, I guess it's an hour
Yeah.
or whatever. Wherever, I don't even know how far it is from Remus. But anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just to run into a coworker and you know, I could have just ignored the fact that he was there, right? And hope he didn't see me.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
But to what end?
and then just left. But it was kind of nice, you know, to sit there, chat with them
Yeah.
outside of work. It was pretty cool.
Well, so little things like that help build trust.
I think
And
so.
even not trust, it just helps build a relationship. You know, he may go back to work and say, hey, I ran in the mic over the weekend to his buddies and, yeah, you know, whatever. Ultimately, you guys shared that moment, if you will, and it wasn't, you know, it's only going to pay benefits down the road.
Yeah, I think so.
So the interesting things that we've been bringing up, again, our goal, continue the conversation. That's our motto. Continue the conversations. Leadership. We did the camper once, right? And here we are back in the camper. It's a good little studio.
It actually works really well.
It does.
The
It does
lifetime.
work.
Anyway.
And then with the interview with Matthew, you know, patriotic show for 4th of July, a patriotic person bleeds red, white, and blue. So I think as we kind of look back and discuss the podcast, if you will, up to this point, we focused on the leadership aspects, the leadership principles, because we both kind of gravitated to that as something we wanted to talk about first.
Yeah.
But like we said, we've slipped in a fun one with the camper, very informative. to me, still trying to get the wife to buy to agree to buy one. But I tell you, it would have come in handy already in the last 10 days or something.
But so would have a generator.
Well, more than just no power for like the fourth day now. But
like I said during the camping thing, I could live in this thing, man. It's plenty of room for me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't. Anyway, but we started this show. This is our 8th show. A couple months. I don't think either one of us really knew exactly what we wanted to.
Just going with it.
Just go and do it. I think
get after it.
The big thing is just continuing to be consistent.
Yeah.
Put shows out there, whatever topics we happen to be talking about. Like this one is, summarizing our first 7 shows. I think the big highlights for me is that we're doing it, first of all. And the second thing is that it's heightened the awareness of things that are important for me, right? So leadership is definitely important. Communicating effectively with people is important. Trust is huge, but it's also reminded me to enjoy yourself, right? The camper video, spent not a lot of money, but a pretty good chunk of money on a camper.
Well, it's an investment.
You got to enjoy
absolutely
it.
Investment. You got to be able to take it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you use it 2 or 3 times a year, what's the use, right?
Right. It's kind of like a swimming pool. When you live in Michigan, I mean, I know people that have pools, and they'll spend a couple $1,000s a year maintenance of their pool, and they'll use it for a couple months. Kind of, I get it.
It's the same thing as leadership.
We're surrounded by more water than like any state in the United States, right? Michigan has more coastline than any other state in the United States. So you're in Grand Haven right now, which has awesome beaches when they're not closed. But anyway, so
my point is, when you have a skill or you have an asset or you have something, you got to use it.
Yeah.
So all the leadership stuff that you and I have been through and learned throughout the years, if you're not using it, what good is it, right?
Exactly.
If I bought the camper and then I put it in a storage unit,
why?
So we do that with our leadership skills, right? We do that with trusting people. We do that with communicating with people, having an ego. If we don't use those things that we've learned over the years, what good are they?
Have you found yourself since we started this? Like I found myself at work, situations will come up. I've already said multiple times to a couple of my coworkers that were doing reviews on people. They were getting ready to work on the reviews for people and stuff. I said, you got to make watching a podcast mandatory, because they brought up a situation, and I'm like, well, we talked about that on the podcast, So
right.
But I've found myself at work since we started this. Discussions will happen and things will come up, and we just talked about that in the podcast. I've probably said that at least 5 times. Well, yeah, we just talked about that in the podcast. It's like this, or so when you go and, I gave an analogy.
See, I find myself being more aware of how to react to things that happen.
Is it because it's fresh, like kind of fresh in your head?
Yeah, it's
because
just
we
like
had that conversation.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not talking about it, if it's not in the forefront of your mind, then, if you can't use the ability, then what good is it?
And what's really unique about that is our goal from the beginning of this was to just continue a conversation.
Right.
And I think in week 1, I said selfishly, I wanted to do this and have these conversations on leadership because I want to have that moment at work or even outside of work when I go, oh, we talked about this on the podcast. I can use that tool right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I consciously recognize that. And then, of course, self-promoting, I'm telling others, hey, we talked about that on the podcast. But, to be honest, we're still plugging away at this. We don't have a lot of viewers. We don't have a lot of subscribers. So please, if you're viewing it, subscribe, tell your friends, try to get the word out. We realize that we're not going to be out of the gate with a ton of subscribers and ton of viewers and stuff. The video with Matthew, the interview with Matthew, got a lot of views because he's connected with a lot of people. But we're building this, and we're going to continue going. So again, we're asking for ideas. I think we both ask people around us that were around all the time for different topics and different ideas. And
I can even see us doing like, a review on Pentwater. Hey,
yeah.
Have you ever watched those?
Or different campgrounds, or
whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
We can do anything we want with this show.
Yeah, it doesn't, like we talked about leadership in the first 5 or 6 shows, 5 shows. Kind of a serious topic. Yep, we get it. But we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna mix it up. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We may do a show. Hell, next time we might do one out by a fire. Sitting there just having
I think
a
we're
conversation.
going to do a gun show coming up.
A shooting show would be good.
I think that's what we're going to do because I bought a M&P shield and I got my concealed carry. I think we should do a show about that.
We should.
And maybe even take it out and shoot a couple of guns.
Or we hook up with Matthew again. He's an instructor. So, I mean, that would be fun. He could. I don't know if you go and look at some of the videos that he's got some crazy workouts that he trains with weapons on. They'll do a fireman's carry and up a gorge and then flip a tire 10 times over his head and then pull his pistol out and see for accuracy and stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of cool stuff going on there. But yeah, I'd love to be able to go. I haven't gone shooting in a while, and that would be fun. So we could even review firearms. We could anything, right? We could review. We might review this camera. We had a little issue with the camera, so we might be able to do a product review on a camera.
I got to get that thing figured out.
So we are definitely going to mix it up. We're going to have fun. It's not always going to be talking about leadership or work-related activities, even though that's the center of what created this. It's really just continuing the conversation, and that could be any conversation on anything.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
That's what we're looking forward to, I think, the most.
No, absolutely. And this particular show, summarizing the things we've talked about over the last 7 weeks, I'm thinking about, wow, 7 weeks has already gone by. I mean, it's just the beginning of July or first week and a half in July, and there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Right. So we
got summer in Michigan, right? I mean.
Yeah. We've had a crazy storm. Man, that
140,000 people lost power. Yep.
And I was camping. This thing was rocking.
And I'm one of the 70,000 that still doesn't have it.
They still don't have power in some parts of Michigan. Trees down. I mean, man, you see that stuff?
100 mile an hour straight winds, sustained like 75 mile an hour.
We're getting a little off topic, but man, wow, what a storm!
Heavy duty. It's impacted a lot of people.
They had to be 100 mile an hour winds, I think.
I heard on the radio that they had reports of 100 mile an hour straight winds, which are like straight winds are.
What is straight winds?
It's like the worst kind of wind you can have. It's like almost like down a wind tunnel.
Oh.
The wind comes in almost like a current in the water, and it just hammers everything. Straight winds, kind of worse than a tornado, really, depending on what they're hitting. What they're going to hit.
Right.
So, again, we're obviously looking to build this channel or this podcast up, if you will, the vlog. Been watching a lot of other vloggers and podcasters on YouTube and stuff, and learning some things from them. But ultimately, we're gonna do our thing, and hopefully.
I like the continued conversation thing. Like I said, we've talked about a lot of stuff, and
that's the goal.
Just being able to open dialogue with somebody. If it's just a random thing, like. Walking around this campground is pretty funny. People talk to you and they wave at you and everything. But like you said, if we're down on walking downtown, nobody says anything to you.
Right.
Right. They
we were sitting in here getting ready for the show, and a couple people walked by and they were looking and pointing at your camper and talking about things. So we could have ran outside and ambushed them and started talking about the camper. I think ultimately, we talked about doing a book review on The Speed of Trust. We talked about doing a book review on extreme ownership.
Yeah, I was gonna say your favorite book.
Yeah, and we're still gonna get to those. I'd really like actually to do a book review on your uncle's book.
That'd be
65 Years of Secrecy. I think we've talked about it enough here. I think it warrants maybe deep diving that a little bit. We're gonna do things like that. We're gonna spread that kind of stuff out. Break it up a little bit. But it's all these things that have impacted our lives in some form or fashion that I think we want to be able to hit on. You're getting ready to wrap up your master's program.
Yep.
That's something we could talk about, right? It's on leadership, but that's something we can still address. We can still talk about that because that's a significant accomplishment.
Yeah, I go back and forth. I was thinking, do I want to walk for it? It's a big deal for me, but it's when I went to start the program, just like anything I buy or invest in, I did a bunch of research, and I looked at a bunch of different schools. And the school I ended up going to, Northwood University, they're in 5 states, but here in Michigan, Midland is the main campus. It's a great business school, private school, been around forever. They're not known for leadership. They're known for automotive stuff, and they're known for marketing, and they're known for, different topics. So if you're going to start a master's program, do your research. It's not a, what they call it, an A school or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of time.
A program's a program. I mean, learning is learning, right? So we've talked about every opportunity as a teaching and a learning opportunity. You could have paid $100,000 to go to another university and get an education similar to what you're getting now. Probably wouldn't have been a whole lot different, other than a cost.
Yeah, the principles are pretty much the same. I mean, no matter what school you go to, you just want to go to a school that's reputable, right?
That's why community colleges are so great.
Yeah.
For the first couple of years of college for somebody, cheaper than a state university or a private university. Get your basics out of the way and then jump into the core curriculum of something.
That's what my son's doing. My oldest son is, going to Delta, which is a really good school. I went there for a couple of years before I transferred to Northwood when I got my undergrad. My youngest daughter's going to Saginaw Valley. And it's just one of those things. Hopefully all the things that I've done and that my ex-wife has done has kind of showed them what's important about, going to school, learning. But again, I come back to if you're not using those skills that you're learning, if you're not trying to apply them, what a waste. What a waste of time.
They become stagnant. Similar to my hamstrings right now. So I've been landscaping with the power out. I've been outside in the sun landscaping, and it reminded me that I have hamstrings. It's a good thing. I even said today to somebody, the pain is good because it reminds me that I have potential, right? So I have potential to actually get back in shape and things.
That's got to be a Marine thing.
Yeah, well,
it's got to be a Marine mindset.
Pain is good. So, anyway, so I think really ultimately, through continuing conversations, through interacting with people, getting a couple different people on the show, I think that worked really well. Different topics that Mike might be interested in, topics I might be interested in, topics we're both interested in, and then topics you guys are interested in. So again, feel free to throw out an idea on something you'd like us to talk about. I have no problem. I go through life every day looking like an idiot every day, so I have no problem trying something crazy. Here's what I won't do. So my friend Jorgen from Sweden came up and he was talking to me about a food they have over there from Sweden and Finland. And I believe it's rotten fish. I forget, the name of the fish is escaping me right now. But YouTube this, because there's videos out there where these guys are like, they film videos of them trying foods, right? Different foods.
Right.
So they're kind of, they'll eat anything kind of thing. And they get this can sent to them, and it's swelled. The can is swelled, right? And they pop the can with a can opener, and gases and juice squirt out. Instantly, they start dry heaving. It is like the worst smelling thing in the world. There was 4 or 5 guys. 2 of them ended up. One of them didn't care. He's like, oh, he wasn't dry heaving at all. He's like, oh, all right. He just ate it. He must have no taste buds at all. The other guy tried it. Didn't sit well with him. But anyway, the point being, I won't do those kinds of things. So don't leave, hey, eat this or eat that or try this. But pretty much anything else we'll try, I think. So
Yeah, and just when you were talking about the smell, so we have a deep freezer, and it must have got unplugged, and the food rotted in the deep freezer, and I don't know how Melissa was able to clean it out, because I walked down there and I couldn't. There was a couple trash bags of rotten food. I could barely breathe.
Yeah.
I don't know how people deal with that. It's like that show. What was the show when they had to eat bugs or they had to do?
Yeah.
What was that show?
I know what you're talking about with Adam. Not Adam Carolla,
the dude that's the
he's
UFC,
got a podcast. Yeah.
The UFC guy. Anyway,
Name escapes me.
we'll have to cut that.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I don't remember the show.
Yeah, I don't remember the show either, but it was like, they had to eat nasty. Anyway,
Can't do it.
Point being, I'm not doing any of that.
But if you like what we're doing, leave a comment. If you don't like what we're doing, leave a comment.
Yeah,
It's okay,
absolutely.
right? Our egos are not going to be like, oh, we're going to have to block that person or whatever. We're not that way. So, family and friends are probably watching this, and they're thinking, oh, these mutton heads, what are they doing? But
When's it gonna end? Right?
family and friends, put the comments down there.
Yeah.
We're not gonna disown you or whatever. It's
We're
all
trying.
good.
We're trying to make this into something. We're not looking to get rich off this by any means or even make money. We're just doing it to continue this conversation and hopefully help people. Two goals, right? One is learn and teach, and the other one is have fun, right? So we're just gonna have fun, and I think that's our main.
I really do think we need to do a gun show though.
Yeah, that would be fun. To do a good shooting show, that would be good. We might need to get like a third person for camera work or something, but I think we can make that happen. I think we can make that work.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I have it. Like I said, I bought that M&P Shield and I have an AR-15, so
Yeah, nice.
they go boom.
Yes.
They're fun guns.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, that'd be a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know if the range would let us take. Actually, my buddy's got a bunch of property up in Morley.
Yeah.
We can just take it out there and boom, have a good time.
Set up good course or something. Have some fun. Talk about shooter safety. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously paramount. Hearing protection, things like that. When you're out messing around like that, it's always good to make sure you're safe and make sure you're protecting yourself and others. But yeah, I think that would be a fun show.
That'd be definitely. We have to figure that out. And we got to do it before the snow flies.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it'd be any fun in the wintertime.
Yeah, that could be next week here in Michigan. But yeah, that would be fun.
But we wanted to just take a few moments and summarize the last 7 shows that we've done. It's been a lot of fun. Last week's show was a great time with Thomas. I'm just kidding. But last week's show was a lot of fun, and some of the shows have been more serious, and then some of the shows have been just kind of fun. But they all have a point to them, and they're all trying to continue that conversation. So
I think we have some stuff we can do product reviews on
yeah, absolutely.
that we actually bought for the podcast. Haven't really used yet, but
Is that microphone working yet?
I
Do
haven't
we
tried
think it was the microphone, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think it was the.
We'll do a not so good review on
I don't
the
know.
microphone.
I don't know what it was. It might have been it might have been the cord was real heavy, and it was tweaking your jack on your camera.
Well, yeah, but the other microphone I put in works.
No, I know,
fine.
but that is a lot lighter.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, the plug-in jack for mine had an adapter on it and stuff, made it real heavy.
We should do a microphone.
We got a lot of
since
them.
We've messed them up.
We got the
microphones
lapel
are-
mics.
Yeah.
You got a couple tabletop versions that we've been using the tabletop version the last several shows. Works great.
Yeah, I think it's been working pretty good.
And I bought some higher tech like boom mics. We got the I don't even know what you call them, like an overhead mic kind of thing,
Oh, yeah.
like a shock mic or whatever they called it. But anyway, we got a lot of equipment we can do reviews on too. I think ultimately, looking back at the first 7 shows, so after last week's show, I think we both kind of said, "Wow, that was a really good show." I think we really liked it. It gave us some good exposure. I think maybe that's why we said today, let's do a little wrap up. A little review and what have we learned, kind of thing. And obviously we've learned with some equipment, we've learned with some mannerisms and right. So I'm tired right now, so no excuse though. I shouldn't say
So, we've talked about a few things on the show. It's been good. It's been fun. I think with just all the things going on this week, both of us are a little fried. I've been relaxing for the last 3 or 4 days. You've been busting your ass. But
and I had to take what I call a Navy shower. We'll get into next week maybe talking about the definition of that and why, but ice cold water. So
I have taken a fantastic
Yes,
shower in my
which you
trailer.
texted me and said, I just took a nice warm shower as I'm freezing in my shower. Ultimately, we appreciate everybody that's watching. Hopefully you're taking a little tidbit away from what we're talking about. And if not, you're just finding time to veg out and enjoy yourself and have a little laugh at us.
Definitely laugh at
either
us.
at us or with us. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep pumping them out. we obviously want some feedback.
Yeah, and if you watch, try to share it. If you don't subscribe, we want a thumbs up.
Yeah.
We want you to subscribe, but share it. I think
Like
we
us on
post them on Facebook, right?
Yeah, I post a link on Facebook, on our Facebook page, Two Guys in a Podcast on Facebook.
I don't know if it's easier
like
on
that.
YouTube or if it's easier on Facebook to watch it. I really don't.
The link goes right to YouTube, to
Yeah.
Facebook. So
I'm a YouTube nut. I watch YouTube all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some people out there that shouldn't be doing YouTube, and then there's some guys like Joe Santagato. If you haven't watched him, the guy's hysterical.
Casey
Neistat, yeah.
I've been watching a lot of his lately.
That guy's a
Vlogs.
videographer though. He's like,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
he does
his
it. That's what he
gig.
does.
That's his job.
Yeah, he did one the other day that was amazing. He flew on first class on some airline and he reviewed the whole first class cabin like area thing. He had like a bed and the whole deal. It was really nice.
But one of the things, the vloggers and guys like that, they take their camera everywhere.
Everywhere.
And I
He
feel
has that.
really
He's got one on his
weird.
hip all the time.
Yeah, I feel really weird taking the camera all over the place and
Yeah.
like doing, you got the selfie stick or you got the.
He's good at it though.
You know what I mean?
I'll give him that. You watch his, and a lot of his are pretty short, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, most of
his
them
daily
are.
vlog, but it's really good. I've been watching one, interestingly, Daniel Negreanu, a professional poker player for the World Series of Poker. It's like a 45-day grind out in Vegas. 45 days, I think, or maybe 60. I think it's 45 days of just nonstop different poker tournaments and things and he's jumping. He's playing the whole series this year, but he's been doing a daily video blog that's been pretty cool to watch. If you're a poker guy and a poker nut, go watch his vlog. It's really good. There's a lot of them out there, but his are pretty good. And he shows you a little difference between like his home life and the poker side. It's not just poker. It's not just what he's thinking about poker. It's kind of the whole thing. Interestingly, behind the casino where I don't even know what casino they're grinding at right now, but he's rented a big motorhome, and a bunch of the pros have rented motorhomes, and they park them in the parking lot behind out the back door. So when they're at the casino playing, he still goes. He lives in Vegas, so he goes home at night and sleeps. But he goes home at like 3 a.m. and wakes up at like 10 or 11 or 12 and comes back. So while he's there and dinner breaks and thing, he goes to this motorhome and stuff. So he's got like a really nice motorhome.
One of these days.
But there's a lot of things like that out there, like the vlogs, various different people, and we're trying to learn from those. We're not competing with them, that's for sure.
No.
We're just doing our own thing. So like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, leave some feedback. We haven't got a ton of feedback, but we'd really appreciate some things we could work on, things we could do to bring some entertainment to everybody. And then obviously, we still want to bring out some pretty serious topics.
Yeah.
And by serious, we don't mean heavy, like, life or death kind of stuff, really, but more educational, if you will, right? Mentoring kind of videos. Things that have been important to us and have affected us in our lives, and maybe things that we can pass on to other people. I think we talked next week, potentially doing a show on our military backgrounds, a little more in-depth dive into what we both have experienced in the military.
I get a lot of questions from family and friends, especially now that a lot of the people I know, their kids are getting older. Hey, should my kid join the Navy?
Right.
Hey, should my kid join the military? Obviously, I'm a huge supporter of young people joining the military. It's not for everybody. McDade talked about it. Why can't I remember his first name? Matthew talked about it on last week's show. He never wanted to make the military a career.
Yeah, which surprises me from just his description of wanting to go into the military so bad. I would have automatically assumed he wanted to make it a career, but he really said from the outset he wasn't gonna.
But I think he's a guy that once he's mastered something, he's going to move on to something
Next
else.
challenge. Yeah,
So I think talking about our experiences, but also talking about whether it's a good decision for somebody to go into the military. My sons talked about it briefly, but neither one of them went in. My daughters, I don't know if I'm male chauvinist, but I wouldn't expect that either one of them would go in the military. But serving in some fashion, some way, and now my son's talking about being a police officer. So, I think to talk about the pluses and minuses, benefits of joining the military, I think would be part of next week's show or part of a show in the future.
Yeah, I actually had a quick experience I'm going to share. So when I was in the Marine Corps, I came home on leave one time, and I had a friend that was looking to join the military. And there were people in or around town that were trying to talk him out of it. And they actually sat me down and said, hey, can you talk to him and try to talk him out of it? It was very odd to me. And so I asked them, I said, well, do you think I don't enjoy it? Well, no, just you've experienced it, so it's probably not for him, right? So I agreed to meet with him and went to breakfast with him, and there was a few other people there. And I told him, yeah, I support it. I think it's the greatest thing in the world, the greatest thing you can do. He just retired, 21 years in the Navy.
Nice.
So, you know, like we said, military isn't for everyone, but for the people that do it, whether it's your initial enlistment or you make a career out of it, you know, you've made a career out of it in most respects. I mean, some of that's reservist time, but you're pushing 30 years, right?
Yep.
In the military. I did a 4-year stint of active duty. So we'll be able to share some ideas and thoughts and where we've been, some of our travels. I think we both have some pretty interesting travels.
Yep.
I've never quite made it to the bottom of the ocean like you, but, you know.
I'm just glad I came back.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's like an Amtrak, right? It's the first 3 seconds when you go underwater, it's you're waiting to pop back up. So anyway, we'll get into that later. For right now, I think, you know, please, like we said, I repeat myself a lot. So you'll notice that in the videos. It's something we probably need to work on. But like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, leave comments, leave feedback, tell your friends about it, share the videos. We're trying to get this rolling a little bit. Hopefully can impact some people's lives, and you guys can impact our lives. I think that's what this is all about. And then again, just continue these conversations. Listen to two knuckleheads here talk, and go out with your friends, and you might see an opportunity where you can go, man, I just watched this on a podcast, and this is a good situation to talk about this. Or, you know, or go, if you got a camper, go do a video review of your camper and reply back to us with your video. We'd like to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it'd be kind of interesting to see all the there's a million different. I'm shocked that I drove around here when I was coming to see you. There isn't two campers alike in this whole park. It's
a tough thing to try to figure one out. And now I'm at the East Point RV Resort, I think is what it's called. If you're a RVer or have a camper and want to come to a really nice place, check East Point out. It's
that's pretty nice. It's
a little
new.
on the pricey
It's like
side.
brand new, right?
Yeah, it's only been open for 2 years, but man, this thing is
It looks to be on the
pretty
river.
slick.
It's right on the river.
Right on the river.
Yeah.
What river? I don't know what river this is, but it's right on the river.
That's the Grand River, I think.
Is it the Grand?
Yeah, I think.
So yeah, it's a nice place to come. I've been here for 3 days, checking out tomorrow, but really, really cool park.
Yeah, it's not loud, right? It's not crazy.
No,
it's not,
it's quiet.
You know, it's not a lot of, you know, it's just enjoyable. And we were sitting outside before we started, and, you know, I could have fell asleep. It was nice. So again, we appreciate everyone. Mike, I appreciate you doing this with me, sticking with me on this. I know it's been tough for both of us to try to work out our schedules, but again, we've made this commitment, and until we decide, hey, can't do it, so be it. This video will be, we're filming this on Sunday, so we try to get these out on Sunday night.
But he doesn't have any power.
Yeah, I have no power, so it's unless I go back and I'm surprised, but I doubt it. So it'll be a couple days late this week getting it out. It's kind of why we didn't want to. We were doing more of a review, not a new fresh topic. Kind of not really a cop out, but we wanted to review them anyway. And we thought after last week's pretty good show, the long show with Matthew, it's a good time to review and sit there and discuss that, and then what we're going to be doing coming forward.
Yep.
Coming up. So I'll get it out as soon as I can, for sure. Hopefully tomorrow night. Hopefully my power's on Monday night and I can get it out. And then we're going to turn right back around and film another one for next week. And like we said, we'll probably be talking about our military careers and experiences.
I think it'd be a good
That'll
topic.
be pretty fun.
Yeah,
absolutely. We'll be able to share some stories. Hopefully that, you know, we'll keep them PG, you know, PG-13, and hopefully that'll be entertaining for some people too. And like you said, we can talk about the benefits and the should and should nots and things like that.
Yep. Not all recruiters are liars, by the way.
No, not all of them.
All right, so stay tuned for next week's show.
Yeah, I think we can wrap up now.
Tom
Mike's gonna go eat.
Tom always wants to talk about what we're gonna do, and I just do it.
Let's just go. So Mike's gonna go eat. I'm gonna go home.
More for the blooper reel.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go.
Well, we'll do a blooper reel too. We got some good ones. So even last week with Matthew, we got some good ones. But yeah, until next week, stay tuned for more exciting stuff out of Two Guys in a Podcast. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Tom. Have a great week.
Well, that does it for this week's show. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Two Guys in a Podcast.